Hey guys, Chris Feener here, second lead guitarist, a threat signal, and a solo performer. We're here in my bedroom in Grand Falls, Windsor, Newfoundland, Canada, doing a Loud Guitars exclusive. So I'm going to run you guys through some of the processes that I go through with regards to video editing, recording, audio editing, recording. I'm going to show you guys a whole bunch of my gear, well, what little there actually is, and without further ado, let's rock. Alright, so let's start out with the Schecter Hellraisers. I've got a C1 and a C7 that Schecter was nice enough to send me for the last tour we did, actually, with Children of Bottom, Elevati, and Revocation. Beautiful guitars. They stay in tune very well, and they sound absolutely brilliant. The C1 in Black Cherry comes equipped with an 81-89 EMG combo. Really great for clean sounds, and also it's very brutal in the low end. We play those in drop C with 11 gauge strings. Onto the C7 in white. This has got an EMG 707 combo, and it's one of the most brutal 7 strings I've ever played, and I absolutely love the feel of it. Schecter necks are pretty much the best. People who aren't into wider necks probably wouldn't dig it as much as I do, but I find with every year I definitely like thicker necks. So maybe I'll be playing a Les Paul one of these days. We'll see what happens. Onto the old school guitars. This is an Ibanez K7. They don't even make these anymore, but I definitely like to keep this thing hanging around. It's got a Floyd and comes with DiMarzio PAF7s, which are pretty low output, but it offers a pretty distinct sound for sure. And last but not least, again, keeping it very simple, we've got an ESP LTD MH1000 equipped with 81-85 EMG combo, and it's got a Floyd. So yeah, definitely nice to keep a 6 around with a Floyd as well. So that's my very simple setup. I do have other few guitars, but these are the ones that I actually go to these days. And the Schecters are definitely my live guitars, so definitely check those out. So here's my all-in-one rig, the Fractal Axe-Fx Ultra. I haven't stepped it up to the Axe-Fx 2 yet. My bandmate Travis has, but I'm still trying to figure this thing out. So hopefully one of these days I'll figure it out and I'll be able to move on. I power that with an PB 4x4 ART power conditioner. And yeah, I don't use a power amp or anything like that. I usually just take that and run that straight to the front of house live, and they send it back to me through the monitors. It tends to sound great. I also use it for recording. I use it for pretty much everything these days. I'm pretty old school when it comes to gear. I don't really require a whole lot. I went from a Line 6 Pod XT up to this bad boy, and I'll probably stick with this for another 10 to 15 years. As you can see, there's a ton of rack missing. I guess I'll fill that in one of these days when I find the time to figure out what other cool things I can invest in. But for now, this is pretty much it. I control that with an FCB 1010 Behringer foot pedal. Basically, it took forever for me to program this to make it work properly, but it gets the job done now. I have it set up so that I can actually switch through all the different presets, and then I can go through afterwards and alter which stomp pedals I want activated. You can also control the volume and wah, so it pretty much does absolutely everything that I need it to do. And for such an inexpensive unit, it's very versatile, and it hasn't broken on me yet, so I'm pretty happy. Moving on, let's get into some of the recording gear. Alright, so onto my painfully simplistic recording setup. Let's start with the speakers. I've got a KRK Rocket 5 combo, and they sound very well, and they're not overly expensive, so you should definitely pick up a set of those if you plan on doing some demoing and whatnot. I run both of those via 1/4 inch into my PreSonus Audio Box 22 VSL, and then I run my Axe-Fx into the front of that via 2 XLR cables, so I can get really cool ping pong delays and anything stereo, and it really sounds cool. Other than that, I pretty much cheated, and I use my old school Logitech speakers, and they're for referencing and stuff like that, but I also bypass the speakers, and I've got my sub down there that I've stolen from that, so I get the whole spectrum. So with regards to software, let's get into it. So I do all my mixing, mastering, editing, everything in Cubase 5. I used another Steinberg product, Nuendo 3.0, for a long period of time, so I've really got used to the Steinberg audio editing interface. So it wasn't until I got a new PC just recently that I actually updated to Cubase 5. It's not quite the newest, but it definitely gets the job done. This program can handle VSTs, so I can use TuneTrack Superior Drummer 2.0. And then that's pretty much it in the way of MIDI program. The only other thing that I ever need to trigger is like light strings or synthesizers, and for that I'll use an older version of Reason. But that's pretty much it. It's very simplistic. I record using my Axe-Fx directly in. And my PreSonus box is set as the Master ASIO, the default sound card, and that pretty much controls everything right from here. The sound that's coming through the speakers, the input from the Axe-Fx itself. It's really just really neat and tidy and very simplistic. As for other functions of the program, the only other plug-in outfit that I have is Waves Mercury Bundle. The only reason I use that is because it has a lot of really cool compressors and equalizers and some really cool preset-based default functions that are really simplistic and can make your stuff sound really good. When I track bass, I actually use the exact same rig, an Axe-Fx Ultra, and I have a tone just dialed up on there, and it usually needs a bit of doctoring to make it sound really bassy, and there's some really cool presets in there, and I definitely recommend checking out Waves products as well. Drum creation, production, editing, I like to use the drum editor within Cubase 5 and basically program it from there. I usually come up with my own MIDI map down the side with all the usable samples, what I've deemed usable, and basically go from there. Then basically click all over the place, and it looks kind of confusing and tangly, but it definitely gets the job done. I'm kind of used to it now. It's kind of like I know a lot of people who use a MIDI program like Guitar Pro, and just because you're used to the interface, and then you can just take it, dump it in, and adjust velocities and stuff afterwards. I like to go right to the source and do it right from here. I get a lot of questions with regards to how I do my video, and it's a very simplistic process as usual with me. I've got a blue chair in front of a wall with a blue blanket hung up there, and that serves as a backdrop so you can't see all the nonsense that is on my wall, and it looks semi-professional. I went to Canadian Tire and picked up a couple of these Noma outdoor use lights, and they offer tons of light for what I need. And I also have a window over here with Mr. Satriani and Mr. Friedman chilling directly beneath. And the video done in Cubase. So I'll usually create a new project and then create a new track within the project that I want to do. Like I'll usually take a backing track and throw it in there, and then just record the guitar in a separate track, and then export it as one whole unit, and then throw that into Sony Vegas. Although sometimes if I'm doing like a full-on instrumental piece that has tons of harmonies and all that kind of good stuff, and I actually have the entire mix to my disposal, I will usually just open it, as you can kind of see here, create a new track, and then mute the pre-existing one, and then basically record, and then I can mix and do all kinds of cool stuff with it, and make it blend really well for the video. So all the audio is done in Cubase 5, and then it's dumped into Sony Vegas, and then I use that for all the video editing. And then if there's any kind of voiceover or anything like that, I'll basically just blend it with the audio from the camera itself. And that is it.